So where do emotions come from? So think about our human evolution, our evolutionary process as life forms, from bacteria and so on, dinosaurs, until human. So our brain still has a reptilian brain part. Then we have our mammal brain, our limbic system, where memories from hunter and gathering is stored. Then we evolved into more conscious creatures. You can see that. What's the difference between a human and a monkey? So we are more conscious, we're more aware of our own experience. They have a different kind of, it's more instinctual awareness. It's like, I know where food is, I know I need to reproduce, and I know I need to nurture for this child and take care of this group. Survival, mainly survival. Then when we develop, that's why we are in a tricky situation, because we are conscious. So we have essential qualities that are able to focus attention, be concentrated, learning. We have ability for self-control, and we have compassion, free will, judgment, planning, and so on. We have an understanding of past, present, and future. We learn from the past, plan for the future. But then we are still dealing with our mammal brain. That's a lot about our attachments come from that mammal physiology, that we are mammals. We come from a womb, from a mother, and then we get breastfed. That creates a whole paradigm of attachments and emotional attachment that comes from our memories. And then we still have that basic instinctive function of survival. So it's like we need to, that entails competition. I need to feed myself first, otherwise I won't survive. That entails tribal survival as well, because as we evolved into tribes, then being rejected by the tribe often meant death. So the primary human drive is still very strong instinctively, is survival. Then the root of our own emotions is fear of death, fear of not surviving. So it's a part of the survival mechanism. And all the other emotions are generated from that root, that survival mechanism, but then colored by emotion of attachment, of nurturing that we received from the mother. And then we become conscious, aware of that, and then comes our ambitions, desires, and so on. So we are dealing with this situation in our human brain. That's what we get to develop more understanding and more awareness by meditating. So that's the key of meditation, is getting more and more aware. Your awareness muscles get stronger, just like working out. The more you meditate, more you observe, not necessarily only in your meditation introspective practice, but then you take that observation into your daily life, and then you observe yourself at all times. But the moment you spend in introspection and meditation, you are building that strength. Then you take that out in your daily life, and so you become aware of those mechanisms sometimes before the reaction, or before it gets act on and possibly creates a situation, a conflict, a problem that then you have to deal with. We all deal with that. So that's part of our confusion, is that we are dealing with a lot of animal instincts and mammal emotion, attachment from our mammal physiology, and our consciousness that helps us be aware of it all. So knowing that behind all our drive, our desires, is the goal of survival, then we can, oh, okay, that's a main understanding. From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed, there is an instinctive drive to survive. So the instinctive goal is to survive, and the consciousness goal is to be happy. So we are in between surviving and happiness. Now that we are aware of our survival instinct, then we can understand that main purpose of consciousness is happiness, is to be happy. Knowing that nowadays our survival is guaranteed. It's very unlikely that we are going to be chased by a tiger, or we are going to die of starvation, or so many life-threatening situations we experienced in the past. We can trust that our survival is guaranteed. So that can solve a lot of our problems. Like, okay, I can surrender, let go of this core fear of death, of not surviving, and allow that energy that is spent in surviving and survival mode, which is fighting, struggling, effort, chasing, competitiveness, and all that comes from our survival instinct. We can allow that energy, we can save that energy, conserve that energy by knowing that our survival is guaranteed. So then we can be more conscious, because to be aware requires energy. So it's very hard to be aware of the movement of emotion when you are exhausted, without energy. So taking care of the energy, of your energy, is a fundamental part of being conscious, more aware of your human experience. So that understanding can help us choose how to go about our day, and acknowledging when we are caught in instinctive mode, in survival mode, which is like fighting. It feels like a struggle. And then life feels like a long struggle. And when we meditate, we get to pause that struggle, that survival, and develop consciousness, which is going to also increase your level of energy and your ability to be aware. So, all right, so our first tool is a teddy bear tool, also inspired by Dr. David Hawkins, because we developed this instinctive part of ourselves that is still animal, that we still see very, very animalistic craving, competitiveness, fighting, and that's not that's innocent, because it's part of our biological, it's still an information in our genetic code, meaning we all experience that. So there is a little animal in us that is competitive and craving survival. So you can see that in nature. You can see monkeys like fighting with each other, competitiveness, or lions. Everything in nature is trying to survive. There is no morality there. Then we, as I said before, then our mammal and consciousness then creates a morality, creates morality concepts as good or bad. So what the study bear tool, it represents our little animal, our little personality, our little self. So those moments that we act, behave, say something, express, and then blame ourselves for it because we are not conscious at a time, that we can call ego. We can call personality small self, little self. But when we say little self, ego, or personality construct, it can come with a negative connotation, with judgment and blaming, shaming about it. Shame about the moment you got angry and reacted and found yourself fighting. A stuffed animal that can be a teddy bear, it can be something, because it's a representation of the little self that symbolizes the innocence of that part of ourselves. So inherently innocent. Can you look at a little creature like that and be angry at, or judge it, or blame? It's very hard. So this is my little self. I call it a little one. And every time I find myself not being kind to myself, I use this as a representation of that little one that is showing up and want to be seen. That means a part of you, some people like to refer to it as inner child. I personally prefer a little one, a stuffed animal that is not your little child, because I see the little child creating a new program, a new paradigm, or a new attachment, or a justification to continue with certain patterns. Meaning saying, oh, it's my little child. I'm acting like this because of my little child. And yes, childhood is when a lot of that unconscious, subconscious behavior and patterns and pressure in your pressure cooker was developed, created, depending on your experience. But it needs to be seen. But it helps for it, depends on your own perspective, your experience. It helps to have an external symbol, such as a cute stuffed animal. So because it's no longer part of you, it is there as an information in the mind. And yes, it wants to be seen, but it's no longer part of you, because your conscious part is not, it's just aware of that. It's not who you are. So this having an external representation of your little self, of your animal instinct, of your ego or child, helps you have this perspective that it's not who you are. It's just an information that is memory, essentially memory and biological instinct.